Good morning, not from the Edinburgh Fringe, which might be a bit strange way to start a video, other than just being at the world's largest arts festival for the last month. But today is the official first day after the Edinburgh Fringe, and I'm taking my usual morning walk before I head back home tomorrow to Brighton. And anyone that's been watching the videos earlier would know that I've been providing some reflections and practical tips about taking a show up here and being successful and being happy and fulfilled. But this is going to be an unhelpful video for some people at least, and I've left this to the end. It's two letters that's become a word, and a lot of people sigh when they hear it, and they're probably a bit sick of it. And the word is AI. And I just wanted to share some thoughts looking back at the Edinburgh Fringe about what felt like something that arrived in the last couple of years, really since the advent of things like ChatGPT, generative AI. But I think it arrived more prominently and not in a good way necessarily. And because of that, particularly in the way it's been reported in the media, if there is a good way that it's arrived, it's not really been explored enough and shared enough. But it began with, I think it was about a week ago, an investigative journalism piece in Chortle. Chortle.co.uk is a comedy website, publication, and Chortle's investigative journalist blew open the lid on a PR company. You can go and find all that out for yourself. Certainly I need to say the PR company has defended itself quite robustly in its view. And so the only bit I'm reporting is that the conversation was around the use of ChatGPT to write reviews of shows, and also that has led to some very specifics around comedy, where essentially a reviewer simply presses record on their phone and records part or the whole gig, and then what happens is they load it up into AI to write the review. And people that know about AI might even argue that that could be a more accurate review of what a human being might write, but that's not been the point. The point has been, one, the lack of transparency, two, whether there should be permission for that ever to happen, and three, the notion that a human being that beheld the show, but may well have fallen asleep, I guess, if they know that the show is going to be reviewed by AI, has not really written the thing at all. Arguments back is that the person did write it because it's prompted the AI at some point to create the review, and a well-written, maybe well-disguised review comes from a very clever prompt. I can be very clear with my own view that I was equally horrified when I heard that's taking place, perhaps in increasing numbers, and I did an interview for The Scotsman, which was writing an article about it, and my view was this is pretty widespread. I think it's pretty widespread simply because people can't curb their enthusiasm for when this thing gives them the opportunity to get a review out in a minute, rather than in case of Fringe Review, sometimes our reviewers talk about it taking an hour to write a review. So you might think there's a cast iron case for using AI like that because it saves you time and frees you up to do other things. And one of the defences might be, it writes a really good review and it gives me a chance as a human being just to enjoy the show completely, immerse myself in it, and if I feel a bit ethical, I'll read the review it's written and I'll edit it. That's been going on in journalism for the last few years, and I'm sure, we have the challenges in higher education of students doing this, and everything is up in the air as kind of, I would say, fairly incomplete policies are written either to refuse permission for people to use it in education, or to somehow limit it, or more positively to say how it can be used. Nevertheless, for me, there are still the ethical concerns about a review being authored by somebody with their name next to it and absolutely no information being given about how this thing's been written. And I pointed out the fact that some newspapers that have what are called AI-assisted reporters are perhaps a bit more transparent, because they say exactly in their text that an AI-assisted reporter has chosen the topic, may well have used AI to do the initial research, may well have even used AI to write the report, and in the case of one newspaper even says it's checked sometimes, which I find quite shocking too. The issue being that reviewing is happening more or less ethically, and I'd say less ethically. So one of the first use cases, I hate that term, sorry, I'm on the road now, It's Arthur's seat still somewhere up there. The issue still is that there's a lack of transparency, that this stuff is being used and we're not being given the information that it's been used. Certainly a lot of performers up here are saying they hate the idea that a review has been written of their show by a reviewer that's given that to AI and no one knows. Certainly in the reported case study examples that I'm giving you here, I say case study because I think they're becoming stories from the Fringe, is that a comedian, for example, who found out that this was the case, said they were devastated, actually talked about their mental health, that when a review came out, they were so delighted to get affirmation in the review that they were good at a time when they were quite low energy. When they then discovered, this is only reported, it's not proven, but when they discovered that the review had been written by AI, giving them a 4-star review, or even a 5-star review, that they feel like they want to be sick, because their whole confidence was boosted by the idea that another human being had judged their work positively, and this was not the case anymore, and they felt like something had been snatched away from them. So we've got the rise of, I'm going up here now, wherever that is, I think it's to Arthur's seat, but then I think I might head across country. The second use case we were experiencing a year ago for this year's Edinburgh Fringe, and it's just patently obvious about two things. One is that images, and I'd say mostly not great images, are being generated using AI for press releases and publicity, and that the text itself, full of M dashes, which are the long hyphens that often indicate AI, but the completely cliched, hard to read because they're just so over the top press releases, badly written, simply down to we're not learning to prompt AI properly, and what we're getting is AI written or AI assisted press releases about shows that claim to be original. Now, one view is just simply that I'm old fashioned, this stuff is coming inevitably and we just need to adapt to it as we learn to use it, it'll get better and better. But another one is a much deeper human moral question, once again about whether we should be sharing that we're using it or whether we should be using it at all. Certainly I'd say in the reviewing sphere, the beauty of human beings encountering each other in the flesh, in the form of a reviewer sitting in a seat and watching something and then writing a review of it from human to human, from peer to peer, from audience, lots of audience reviews here, from audience to performer, is really, really key. So we come to the interesting place now. We've got moral questions. They're not really being talked too much about. It's quite a superficial argument, and I think it will be even worse next year. And the question is, why am I saying even worse and not even better? I think we should explore that. Finally, there's also issues around audience reviews, where companies with lacking reviews are just using AI to generate audience reviews. We're ending up in a place of little white lies. We're ending up in a place of hiding the truth. We're in a place at the moment of using computers because we can't be bothered, or we're doing other stuff and we're not prioritising human to human. And I'd say that's worth thinking about. It's worth a conversation very soon at all levels of the Edinburgh Fringe.